Okay, this can be a little bit confusing. Okay, you're going to want to pause the video at various points and then do the problems I say on the assignment. These are the conversions you'll need. I have that sheet like I did in the last video with all of them, so I don't have to keep scrolling up. I can just show you. They're in the same order as those are. Okay, now what you're doing here is operations with units, but it's more to it than what it looks like. Okay, example 1. We're going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Each one has its own kind of specific set of rules, each operation. So we got 5 feet 6 inches plus 7 feet 3 inches. Well, the first part's relatively easy. You just add the feet. You got 12 feet. And 6 and 3 is 9 inches. Now you have to check for what's called regrouping. Okay. Look up the inches feet rate. Okay, the inches feet. 12 inches, 1 foot. Okay. And I'm going to list groups of 12 times over 9. Okay. Well, I'm going to put 12 inches down. And that's already over the 9 inches. So when it's right away over the 9 inches, that means it's already in simplest form. Okay. So again, 12 inches. I list 12 inches out till I'm over 9. And if the first one's over 9 already, then you don't do anything. You circle it. Some of you are like, okay. Next one's a little bit. Next one gets into more what I mean by this. We have 6 feet 3 3/8 inches plus 4 feet 1 1/2 inches plus 8 feet 10 1/2 inches. Okay, so I go 6 plus 4, that's 10, plus 8's 18 feet. Then I add my inches together. I take 3 3/8 plus 1 1/2 plus 10 1/2. 15 3/8 inches. Now I'm going to draw boxes when I regroup. I didn't on the first one, but I will. Okay, now list the inches feet conversion rate. It's 12, okay, feet inches. List 12s till you're over 15. So you got 12, but I'm not over 15 yet, okay? If I put another 12, that takes me over 15 because that's over 24. As soon as you're over, you're going to stop that adding, okay? And get rid of the last one, okay? Because that's too high. That's over the 15 3/8. Now, what do I do with this 12? Well, I put 12 inches, and then under it I put 1 foot. And what I need to do is subtract 12 inches from there and add that to this as 1 foot. Okay? So that's 19 feet, and that would be 3 3/8 inches. So that's what it's talking about by regrouping. Here I didn't do it because right away that was over 9. Here 112 was not over the 15 3/8, so I listed a second 12, but that took me over the 15 3/8, so I got rid of the second one. I put the 1 foot with the 12 inches, and I subtract the 12 and add the 1. Okay, that's what that means. Example 3. I'm going to do 4 of each operation in the video. 3 yards, 2 feet, plus 5 yards and 1/4 foot, plus 9 yards and 2 3/4 feet. So the yards, 3 plus 5 is 8 plus 9 is 18, 17 yards. Now let's add the feet. Well, 2 plus 2 plus 1/4, that's 2 1/4 by the way. That's 5. Now make a regrouping box and look at feet and yards. Here's feet and yards, so 3. 3 is not over 5, okay? And I'll put 3 feet with it, okay? Do another 3 feet, now you're over 5, so get rid of that second one. The one that takes you over, you get rid of, okay? Because that's 6 feet. Now put the 1 yard, and then you minus 3 feet, and add that here as 1 yard. It's like you're taking, these are equal. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, so I take 3 feet away from there and add it as 1 yard there, I'm good. So 18 yards, 2 feet. See here, I can't, that first one I can't subtract anything because 12 inches is already too big. I can't take 12 from 9, okay? Okay, example 4. They had some problems with this last semester. 3 rods, 4 yards, plus 2 rods, 1 yard. The first part's like babyish. 3 plus 2 is 5 rods. 4 plus 1 is 5 yards. Okay. So look up your rods yards conversion rate. Here's rods and yards. 5.5 yards. Okay. But I can't subtract 5.5 from 5. It's too high right away, so I don't need to do any of the regrouping. Okay. So again, when you add them basically, but then you got to minus and add if it's possible using this. Okay. So let's revisit this. I got that easily. Okay. Feet and inches, 12. Well, 12 is not high. I can subtract 12 from 15 3/8. But if I put another 12, that would make 24. I can't subtract 24. Okay. So I roll at this. I minus 12, add 1. Here I end up with 5 feet. The yards feet ratio is 3. Well, you can subtract 3 from 5, but if you put another 3, you can't subtract 6. Now let's say that was like 7 feet. Let's say, here, I'll put it up here. Let's say I had 10 yards and 8 feet, okay? And I had to regroup that. Okay, so feet, yards, it's 3. Well, I can subtract 3 from 8. I can subtract 6 from 8. I can't subtract 9 from 8. So that's where we stop. So I would subtract 6 feet, and each one of those is 1 yard, and I'd add 2 yards over there. So that'd be 12 yards, 2 feet. Okay, I made that up. It wasn't an example. So that's how you add. If you want, you can do the first 6 on the assignment. Okay, that's adding. Okay. Do the first 6. Pause the video. Because the next we're going to do subtracting. That's totally different. Okay. Okay, example 5. Now we're subtracting 6 feet, 7 inches. Now here's how you need to do subtracting actually. Okay. You need to line it up and down vertically. Okay, on subtracting. 6 feet, 7 inches minus 2 feet, 1 yard. Oh, shoot, what am I doing? 6 feet, 7 inches minus 2 feet, 4 inches. Now first, I can take 7 minus 4, that's 3. Go from right to left. Okay, you start here. 6 minus 2 is 4 feet. Okay. You don't need to regroup on subtraction because you couldn't. Inches, feet is 12, and I can't subtract 12 from 3. Okay, that's already too high right away to do a regroup. Okay. Example 6. Remember, subtraction, you need to line it up vertically. Okay. If you do it horizontally, it's going to be hard. 10 feet, 1 3/8 inch. Minus 7 feet, 8 7/16 inches. Now, I can't subtract that, so what I do is I do the regrouping at the beginning with inches and feet. Okay? So inches, feet. Now, here's what you're trying to accomplish when you do your regrouping box on subtraction. You look at your inches, feet, and what you list has to be higher than what we have, than what's on the bottom here. Okay, I'll circle that. Okay, what comes up here right now, it's too low. Okay, you need to come up with something higher. So inches, feet, that's 1 and 12 again. So I do the 12 inches. Now 12 would be higher than this number, so I stop right there. Okay, I don't put another 12. I put 1 foot. Here's what I do now. I do it the opposite way. I add 12 to that number, and that's going to be 13 3/8. And then I subtract from this number as 1, okay? And that's 9. It's called borrowing, regrouping, borrowing, whatever. So you won't have to regroup at the end on subtraction. You definitely won't. I can promise you that. Okay? Like addition, you added them and regrouped at the end. You will have to do your regrouping at the beginning, which means you'll have to add to this and minus from that. Okay? So 12's higher than that number. I would be able to subtract 12 minus that number. I would have to add 12 there. So I add 12 and minus from here is 1. Okay, now go from right to left. 13 and 3/8 minus 8. You want to do it over here first. 8 and 7/16. You want to go from right to left. You want to go backwards. 13. Okay, 4 and 15/16 inches. And then 9 minus 7 gives you 2 feet. Okay. So again, it's totally different than adding. First off, you need to line them vertically, and you're going to do the regrouping at the beginning before you compute the operation. Okay, example 7. You got 16 yards, 2 feet, 2.15 inches, minus yards, we got 14 yards. Not sure why I put a second Y there. 2 feet, or 2 feet. Sorry, I'm struggling here. 16 yards, writing stuff down. 2.15 inches minus 14 yards, 2 feet, 4.25 inches. Line it up like that. Okay, you need to see if you have to regroup it. Well, I'm going to have to here. That minus that's a negative. We don't do negatives with dimensions. Okay, so inches, feet. So 12 inches, 1 foot. And that 12 would be higher than this bottom number. I would then be able to subtract so I add 12, and that's 4.15 or 14.15. Okay, but then I got to take that away, minus 1, and that's 1. Okay. So you add, then minus. So 14, do the minus first. 14.15 minus 4.25 is 9.9. So 9.9 inches. So we're good on the inches. I am not good on the feet. 1 minus 2 doesn't work. Okay? So now I'm doing feet and yards. 1 yard, 3 feet. Put the 3 feet. Now would 3 be enough to subtract 2? Yes, it would. So I add 3. And then subtract 1 from the yards. Okay, so 1 plus 3 is 4, and then 4 minus 2 would be 2 feet. 16 minus 1 is 15, and then 15 minus 14 is 1 yard. Okay, that's your answer. Let's go from right to left. Again, I'm making regrouping boxes on subtraction before I go through with the problem. Okay, last subtraction problem, example 8. We've got 5 rods, that's what RD stands for, 3 yards, 2 feet, minus 4 rods, 2 yards, 1 foot. Okay, I think I'm good to go here. 2 minus 1, that works, that's 1 foot. I don't need to regroup to do that. 3 minus 2 is 1, I don't need to regroup for that, and then that's 1 rod. Okay, so that's what I have right there. Alright, so again, that's subtraction. So remember, when the top number is too small to subtract, you need to regroup. So again, let's look at this one. 1 and 3/8 too small to subtract 8 and 7/16. So I go inches, feet. Put the number without the 1, 12 inches. Okay, 12 is enough to subtract that, so I add 12 and then minus 1 as feet. Okay, 2.15 minus 4.25 was not going to work, so I have to do the inches, feet regrouping. 12 inches, 1 foot. 12 is enough. Okay, you just add 12 minus, then I subtract 1 from there, so that took me to 1. But 1 minus 2 wasn't going to work, so I did a feet yards regroup. Okay, there's 3 feet to 1 yard. Okay, so I need to add 3 would be enough to subtract 2, but I take 1 plus 3, that's 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. You need to add the one that's there originally. Okay, and then I took 1 away from that as yards, and 50 minus, the last one always works. Okay. Okay, if you want to pause the video and do the next 6, 7 through 12. Okay. Okay, example 9. Now you're multiplying. Okay. Multiplication, the regroup takes place after the operation. Okay. Okay, so example 9, we have 7 feet 3 inches times 2. Well, first part's easy. You just times each dimension by 2. So 14 feet 6 inches. Now you see if you can do a regroup with inches and feet. You do the regroup afterwards, okay? Like adding, similar to the adding. Multiplication's like the adding. Okay, so I'm going to put a 12 there. Now I can't subtract 12 from 6. Remember, when you do it afterwards, you're going to subtract, add. Okay, I can't subtract 12 from 6. It's too high right away, so I'm done. Okay. Example 10. Okay. You've got 12 feet 3 inches times 5.5. So I take 12 times 5.5, 66 feet. Then 3 times 5.5, 16.5 inches. Okay, now regroup that if you can. Inches, feet. Remember, when you group afterwards, you're looking to minus and add. Okay, when you do it at the beginning, you're looking to add minus. Okay, it's like flip-flop. Okay, well, the inches, feet, you got 12 inches, 1 foot. Now, could I subtract 12 from that? I think I can. If I put another 12, I would not be able to subtract 24, so there can't be 2 12s, only 1. Okay, so 1 foot. So I minus 12 inches, and I add it over here as 1 foot. So that minus that is 4.5 inches, and that plus that, 67 feet. Okay. Remember, multiply and add, you do the operations first, which is easy, then you regroup at the end by subtracting if possible. Like here it wasn't possible, I can't take 12 from that because the inches feet's 12. But on the subtraction, that's totally different. You have to do the regroup. You have to actually do what's called borrow. Okay. Okay, example 11. We've got 16 yards, 2 feet, multiplied by 8. Okay, 16 times 8 is 128 yards. 2 feet times 8, 16 feet. Good, I'm glad I got one like this. Now see if you can minus and add. Feet and yards, you got 3. Well, you can subtract 3 from 16. How about if I put a second 3? That'd make 6. I can subtract 6. That'd make 9. I can subtract 9. That'd make 12. I can subtract 12. That'd make 15. I can subtract 15. That makes 18. That's too high, so get rid of it. Okay? So this is where I want to stop. I want to add 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I'm actually, and every one of those means that's 1 yard, okay? Because 3 feet, put 1 yard below it. So 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet. That makes 15 feet that I'm going to subtract. But then that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards that I need to add. So every time I add a group of 15, I subtract 1. Every time I subtract a 3, I need to add 1 yard. Okay, so put those ratios there. 3 feet. Again, 3, you can subtract 3, but you can subtract 6, you can subtract 9, you can subtract 12, you can subtract 15, you can't subtract 18 though. So I'm going to subtract 15, but then when I add, I need to add it as 5 yards. That gives me 1 foot, 133 yards. So sometimes you go past just the first one, okay? Here I didn't, because 24 I can't subtract. I can just do the 12 inches minus 1 foot, or minus 12 plus 1. Here I'm going to minus 15 and then add 5. Okay, example 12. We've got 5 miles, 210 rods times 1.4. So 5 times 1.4 is 7 miles. 210 times 1.4 is 294 rods. Now let's see if we can subtract and add. So the rods, miles, okay, find that. 1 mile is 320 rods, so put your 320 rods. You can't subtract even one of them from there, that's already too high, so this is the answer. Okay. So if you can't regroup, you ditch it. Okay, the next one, now pause the video, and if you want to do 13 through 18, that's what you're doing there. Remember to check for regrouping at the end. Okay, then the last part's pretty easy. Okay, division is the easiest of the group because there's no regrouping involved. You divide 9 by 3, that's 3. 6 by 3 is 2. The reason why you can't regroup is because inches, feet, we know there's 12 inches to 1 foot. I wouldn't be able to minus 12 from 2, so that's it. Mostly on division, you'll end up with something you can't regroup on. Okay, so I got 18 feet, 3.9 inches divided by 4. 18 divided by 4 is 4.5 feet. 3.9 divided by 4 is 0.975 inches. And obviously the inches feet's 12, and I can't. 12 inches. I can't minus 12 from that. It's done. Okay. Okay, example 15, you got 21 yards, 1 foot, and you're going to divide that by 1 1/2. 21 divided by 1 1/2 is 14 yards. 1 divided by 1 1/2 is 2/3 of a foot. So the feet yards would be, so the feet yards is 3 feet, but I can't subtract 3 from just 2/3, so. Okay, and then last one, number 16. 14 yards, 2 feet, 6 inches, divided by 2, so that's 7 yards, 1 foot, 3 inches. I think that's the answer because the inches to feet is 12 inches. You can't subtract 12 from 3. Okay, that won't work. Now the feet yards is 3 feet. You can't subtract 3 from 1 either. So the divisions are easy. Okay. So basically, to make a long story short, on the adding and multiplying, you do your sticked. Then you, I said sticked, not the swear word. Okay. Do your operation, regroup at the end if possible. Subtraction, you have to regroup at the beginning if you can't subtract the top from the bottom. Okay. Remember, subtraction, go back to it. So minus, you line them up vertically. First, that minus that's not going to work. So you have to add to that and minus from that to make that bigger. Okay. Well, if I add a 12, it's going to be bigger. So I add 12 and then minus 1. Okay. Inches, feet, same thing. That minus that won't work. So inches, feet's 12. If I took that up by 12, I'd be good. But I'd add it as 1 over here. So it's 1 foot. 1 minus 2 then wouldn't work. Okay, so I take the one that's there originally and look up the feet and yards, 3 feet. Now if I added a 3 to the 1, I'd bet 4 feet, which works. 2 feet, take 1 away.